Park with George. Sunday in the Park with George. This musical was, of course, inspired by the painting A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jatte. That's a long name. The painting was done by a man named George Seurat, and he lived from 1859 until 1891. Now, George was a prominent figure in pointillism. The definition of pointillism is a technique of neo-impressionist painting using tiny dots of various pure colors, which become blended in the viewer's eye. It was developed by George Seurat with the aim of producing a greater degree of luminosity and brilliance of color. When you stand back and look at this painting, it just looks like a regular painting. But when you get closer, you see these tiny little dots. I literally don't know how George had the patience for this. That's amazing. George himself does not appear in the painting, and that is what inspired this musical. The musical is his story, and though the musical does pull some facts, it is fictional. The first act takes place between 1884 and 1886, and it focuses on George Seurat and his journey of painting Le Grand Jatte. The second act actually takes place 100 years later in 1984 and focuses on George's great-grandson, George. Some themes of Sunday in the Park with George include change and moving on, and also the struggle between making art and making money. George in the first act is doing something new and highly creative, and second act George is stuck in a rut. Act 1, George struggles with his art being financially successful. Act 2, George is successful but struggles with making something new and refreshing. The book of this musical was written by James Lapine, who also directed the Broadway version, and the music and lyrics are by the genius Stephen Sondheim. He's literally a genius. And yes, this is the same team that would later bring us Into the Woods. Thank you. In fact, some of the actors that you would later see in Into the Woods were in Sunday in the Park with George. Bernadette Peters, Robert Westenberg, and Barbara Bryn were all in Sunday in the Park with George together. Something I really like about Sunday in the Park with George are the patter songs. There are lots of moments that fall into the patter category. Something else I really liked were the accents, the musical accents. Dot, 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 and just like little things like that that really make a difference. Also, the original off-Broadway and Broadway cast included Bernadette Peters, who I love. Bernadette Peters is just fantastic. This is an opinion of mine. It's a very strong opinion of mine. I love her. She is just brilliant. It also starred Mandy Patinkin, which I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but you might recognize him from Princess Bride. A ton of money needed to be raised for this production to be possible, and most of it went to sets and costumes. The off-Broadway production was hosted at Playwright Horizons Theater, and Andre Bishop, who worked for this theater, would walk around with color reproductions of Le Grand Jatte just to show people and hope that they would donate. In 1983, the show ran for 25 performances off-Broadway, with only the final 3 including the second act. So just the first act was performed for 22 of the 25 performances. And during that very same run, 3 songs were added to the first act. The 3 songs that were added were Believe, Everybody Loves Louie, and Finishing the Hat. Now there are a few people out there that remember being at the show the night Finishing the Hat was added. Mandy, who played George, needed to have the printed lyrics with him. And people that were in the audience remember that night fondly as a unique and special occasion. Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine were given total freedom during this process without pressures from theater management and other outside forces. And I think that really shows. This production is so unique. It's complex, it's moving, it's touching, it's funny, it's just like everything in one. Like the painting it's based off of, it's made up of tiny little dots that just make this awesome thing. On May 2nd, 1984, at the Booth Theater, the show opened on Broadway. It closed on October 13th, 1985 after 604 performances. The reviews were very mixed. Some people really liked it, some people really didn't like it. It's definitely a musical that makes you think. Sunday in the Park with George was nominated for 10 Tony Awards, and out of that they won 2. They won Best Scenic Design and Best Lighting Design. They won a ton of New York Drama Critics Circle Awards, so I'm gonna have to read this one off. They won for Outstanding Musical, Outstanding Book of a Musical, Outstanding Director of a Musical, Outstanding Orchestrations, Outstanding Lyrics, Outstanding Lighting Design, Outstanding Set Design, Outstanding Special Effects, and the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. In 1986, people got to see the show from the comfort of their own home on Showtime and PBS. The original Broadway cast production was taped, and people got to see it. And on May 15th, 1994, the cast gathered for a 10th anniversary benefit concert performance. There have also been revivals of the show here in the US and abroad, but despite that, I feel like Sunday in the Park with George is overlooked in the theater community. But there are some great songs in this, and the set was mind-blowing. mind-blowing. There are so many reasons for theater fans to look into this musical. Listen to the cast album, research the painting. I actually have this book and it's the complete show. There are also pictures and just other information about the show itself. I really, really like owning this. There you have it. There is your September musical of the month. Let me know in the comments what your favorite song is from Sunday in the Park with George, and if you've ever seen it or if you've been in it. I love you all. Stay beautiful, you people, and I will see you next month for a very exciting musical. Actually, probably my favorite musical. There's a hint. Bye! Wait, where's the part that Bernadette does at the beginning? Alright, I'm gonna attempt this. Don't laugh. In the comments, people are gonna be like, Jona, what? But I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna speak it in rhythm. Well, there are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday. There are worse things than staring at the water as you're posing for a picture being painted by your lover in the middle of the summer and the Sunday. You know, A for effort.